Welcome to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina. We've got a great event that we're proud to sponsor coming up on March 15th, and that is the Joe Rickman Memorial Concert. And my guest, Grace Clenna, will be performing. Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell me about this. Tell me about your history with performing and what this concert means to you.
Oh my goodness. My history with performing. I've been performing my entire life. I originally started with dance, and then I was always able to sing, but I had like major stage fright with singing. I could dance in front of thousands of people, but as soon as I had to sing, I was like, "Mm." And so I kind of had to push myself out there. I turned 15 and then I joined my mom's band. And I mean, they were like my family already, so I wasn't too worried about that, because it was a safe space. So I've been a part of that band for, I think, going on 6 years. And I'm also a part of the Isaac Kenneth Band. And I officially started my original music career in January. So I will be releasing music soon. And I do have one single out. So I'm finally doing my own thing, and this will be my very first concert as just Grace Clenna. So I will be debuting as a solo artist. Um, on another note, Joe was like my other dad.
Mhm.
And so this is very, very special. I'm honored to do it. And he was one of my biggest fans. Every time I would sing, he was always up front, center, and just cheering me on. And I really miss that, but I know that he's still doing that in spiritual form. So,
Everybody that has known Joe seems to say that, he was such a cheerleader. He was everybody's number one, and he was able to reach out and support everybody and do that. Do you think that's part of why you've decided to pursue performing even a little more aggressively than before?
yeah, I would say so for sure. It's always nice to have any crowd member that's really interactive because it helps you know, like how things sound. It lets you know if people are enjoying it, and then you can build relationships with those people. But especially when it's your best friends or family members, I mean, that's a good time. And not a lot of people have that, so I definitely am blessed.
So going from dance into, performing on stage, I should say, how did you kind of know where you were going to land as far as a genre is concerned?
Okay. Well, thanks to my parents, I'm very cultured. I'm obviously redneck in my roots, but I definitely was born in a city originally, and I grew up with hip hop being my main thing. So I grew up battling, and definitely like St. Louis and Memphis, culture had a lot to do with influencing me. I grew up on Michael Jackson, Elvis, Etta James, Ella Fitzgerald, but I also grew up on a lot of like 90s country and even back to Johnny Cash and Patsy Cline. So I have a very, very wide variety of genres that I love. So I'm actually going to be a multi-genre artist. My very first music, my single is already like country, but it's a Chris Stapleton feel, very soulful. And then my EP coming out will be country. And then next year I'm going to start getting into R&B and hip hop.
That's
So
fun. Okay, tell us about the single.
So the single is very special, not just because it's my first single, but because it's about another loved one that I happened to lose. Last year, another best friend of mine who was like family, I called him my little bro, and we grew up dancing together. So he's been there pretty much the whole time. And he always made me promise him a seat on my tour bus someday.
Oh,
So after he passed, I thought, what better way than to debut with my original music career, honoring him. So
exciting.
tells his
How
story.
how did you get more comfortable with performing? I know you said you were, doing backup and on stage with your mom, but how did you get to the point where you're like, okay, I think I can do this solo. I think I can take front stage.
Well, yeah. So I started taking lead roles in musicals that my dance studio at the time was throwing, and putting on. I said throwing like we're throwing a party. It kind of feels like so I played Ursula, I played the Wicked Witch of the West, I played Charlie and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I played Fiona in Shrek. So I had some pretty big roles. I played Grace in Annie, the musical, and that honestly, I think portraying a character first and having to sing was different. I think that the reason it was hard for me at first to just be Grace was
Mm.
because it's much more vulnerable. I feel like with dance, like, yeah, I can fall on my butt, but I can get back up and kind of just make it look like it didn't happen for the most part.
Mhm.
With singing, it's your voice. I mean, it's literally your entire soul, it's your being, it's who you are, it's your sound. And I just feel like that speaks volumes, no pun intended.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just a different experience. It's a different experience. And I think I had to portray characters first and foremost to just get more comfortable. And then as soon as I felt more comfortable with that and I was killing that, I was like, all right, let's just be Grace. I really don't care anymore, like what anyone thinks. And I was able to just get out there and express myself. So
Now, I heard you say battle a little bit ago. So that is not, explain what battle is for people who don't know and tell me about that because you have got to be quick on your feet.
yes, yeah. So battling is really fun because you never know who's going to come to the table. And you do have to kind of quick fire. You've got to be ready to go. You kind of have to have like a back file cabinet full of like different moves, and what you might throw, also based on what song comes on, different grooves. And I had a lot of Memphis hip hop background, so like a lot of juking and popping and things that this generation doesn't typically do. And so that definitely came in handy. It's I don't know, it's just kind of cool. It's like a melting pot of different people that have different strong suits. And it's challenging, but it also is just kind of part of who I am. So it was always a way to just like, I don't know, kind of let go. And also I think doing that kind of poured into the whole music thing too with singing, because just having rhythm also helped me
Mhm.
be able to relax on stage. And like if I needed to get my jitters out while singing, I would just like kind of sway to the music or something while I'm singing, and it definitely helped.
Can you explain what that is and how it works for people that have never heard of what a battle is?
Yeah, so battling is like you can do it in groups or you can do it solo, and it's just like an event that's put on. It's not the same thing as my dance competitions. That was another thing. But you kind of just show up and you step out there when you're ready to go and you're face to face with somebody, and it's all freestyled. You don't really choreograph it. That's kind of rare. It's a different style of battling, and you just go after it. You have rounds, and sometimes there's a judge panel, sometimes there's not. But it's all about gaining new relationships with other dancers. And you kind of have like a specific amount of time in the music, 8 counts that you have to use. And then you have to also know when that cuts off. So it's a lot of brain at the same time as like getting out there and doing a show, basically. So
So that helped build your confidence. And I think it's great that you're at a point where you're going for it and coming into your own. What could you say to other young musicians or even just performers on any level that are facing kind of what you did? Like, I'm very unsure of myself at this point, but I know where I want to be.
yeah. Well, I would say if you're not really sure who you are as an artist, it's important to get out there and try different things, because it kind of like took me going into a bunch of different genres, studying many different artists. I'm really big on studying upcoming artists. Like I go and hunt for them. I was familiar with Morgan Wallen's music when he was 19, like that type of a thing.
Mhm.
Because getting that inspo is kind of what helped me find who I am as an artist. Because you'll come across something and be like, I don't know how I feel about that,
Mhm.
and then you'll come across something else and you're like, oh yeah, that speaks to my soul. And that's how I kind of built my brand. And everything that I do is an expression of like deep emotional connection within myself. So I like to do that. I like to relate with other people. I found that through doing so.
Mhm.
So
Okay, tell us a little bit about the concert, what you're looking forward to the most.
oh man. Well, I get to perform more than once, which is kind of cool. Because I get to be part of my mom's band, like I said before. And well, Kyle Rickman, his son, is one of my best friends. He's practically my brother. And I don't get to see him perform much, so that's gonna be really, really fun. I don't know if I can pick one favorite thing about it. I think it's just gonna be really neat that, it's in Joe's name. I think that that's the coolest thing ever. I think that it's exactly what he would want us to do. And he was so big on community and reaching out to people and sharing the love. And that's what we're doing.
I definitely think we'll all be feeling his spirit there. If you want to learn more, it is Friday, March 15th. Go to the website, Joe Rickman Memorial Concert.com. There's also an event on Facebook. Grace Clenna will be making her debut appearance. Be sure you're there. Thanks for sharing, and come back anytime.
Thank you.
Be sure you're following along at runradio.net.